Good evening, everyone, and welcome to another edition of Netter's Network Thursday Things. And before I bring in my special guest for tonight, let me introduce to you that guy at the end of the bar, the love of my life, Troy Pacelli. How you doing tonight, sweetie, and what are you sipping on?
I am doing well. I am doing better now than I have been most of the week, actually, and I'm sipping on a Cherry Coke Zero. Obviously, I can't... I got to work tomorrow, so I can't... but I got a cocktail waiting for me tomorrow night.
Can you tell us what your cocktail tomorrow will be, or do you want to keep it a surprise?
It's going to have to be a surprise because I haven't decided yet.
Oh.
It's... The theme for tomorrow night is, of course, going to be films from 1999, so I'm looking at a number of cocktails that were very popular in the late 90s, and I will just choose one before we go live.
Well, I've got my Meyer brand sparkling water in berry flavor, because it is a school night. I'm going to have to think of what I want for tomorrow night. I'll probably have another Netter's Nectar because I'm growing quite fond of those. For those of you who don't know what that is, it's cranberry grape juice with pineapple rum.
There you go.
It's really yummy. Let us say a quick hello to our chat, and then we'll bring in our guest, and we will get started talking about things that go bump in the night. Well, of course, first up was that, Netter's person. And then Connie Cleary, the bird lady of YouTube. We've got Troy Pacelli saying he loves me. We have Putin's cat. Big Al presents. How you doing, sweeties? I'm trying not to let the chat jump. That makes me nuts when it does that. Curtis Selby. So we must be having a Curtis Selby raid because I know.
Yeah, I'm seeing everyone from his chat jumping in here, and I appreciate every single one of you guys.
Matt Cheatwood. H Boomer. How you doing, Boomer? Deleted Scenes. Hey, sweeties. Dead Man Walking. How you doing, sweetie? Continuum Chronicles. The Feud with Drew. How you doing, sweeties? I usually say hi, sweetie, after each one. But now I'm like grouping. Well, it's like my chat keeps jumping. I'm afraid I'm going to miss somebody. Jesse Guajardo, how you doing, sweetie? And I think I've reached the bottom of my chat. But now that means I have to go into my YouTube chat so I can put in an official hi, sweetie, to Jesse, because I think I got everybody else.
Did I miss Jesse? Oh, I'm sorry, Jesse.
There we go.
I didn't make the wine cold for you. I was bound to make that joke eventually.
For you youngins, that's the song lyric.
I think most of the people in the chat would know that one.
Yeah, okay. Well, it depends. Man, we got a lot of youngins in the chat.
Well, true.
We'll make references and they're like, huh? Okay. This is the moment I know that you all have been waiting for. My special guest for tonight. Beyond the Hub Podcast with Nick. Now, Nick his channel has like blown up overnight.
Yeah, we reached out to him when he was just starting the channel, and then suddenly he blew up to over 1,000. I'm like, he doesn't need us anymore. But he'd already accepted, so we held on to him.
Definitely would be here regardless.
Oh, you're awesome, man. How you doing tonight? What are you sipping on, if anything?
I'm doing good. I'm sipping on a Diet Coke caffeine-free out of my little fish cup.
Caffeine-free, the devil's brew. Why?
Yeah.
For people who just like to pee? No. Oh, I'm kidding.
Oh, I want to say a quick hello to Mr. Lundell's Groovy Movies. How you doing,
Mr.
sweetie?
Lundell's Groovy Movies. Welcome. Oh, and Brandon Rodriguez, welcome. Sorry I couldn't make the interview tonight. Don't worry, man. Hopefully we can rope you in on another night.
Yeah, it's my partner, Brandon.
Yep.
I plan, Brandon, to have you guys back on in like a month or two, both of you on. So I'm going to take a quick look at what I've got open. So I've got, look at your schedule, Brandon. Tell me if mid-June works for you or July and beyond. Pick a Thursday.
And 6, welcome. Thank you so much for being here.
6?
Yes,
6?
yes. But yes.
I should specify partner in paranormal.
Well, no, you could keep the mystery. We don't know. It's none of our business, right? But okay, it's fair if you want to clarify that. That's fine. Like I said in the backdrop, you don't have to get any more personal than you choose to.
Now, of course, I have pinned our guest's link to the top of the chat.
Please.
So please make sure that you do a right click on that link and you sub to his channel.
Yes, especially you, Brandon. I'm looking at you there, man. If you're not subscribed.
That was too funny. Okay, so the question is, how did you get started on this journey of spooks and spirits?
It goes
and
way
things
back
that
before
go
YouTube, am I correct?
Oh, yes. This was way back. This was back when I was just wanted to ghost hunt. Like, ever since I was a kid, I've always had paranormal encounters.
Sure.
Right from like 5 years old, I had stories of my mom would say, I'd come into her room and say, "Oh, I see something, standing in my closet," like what every kid sees,
Sure.
But it kind of got a little weird when I came in one day and I said, I think there's something in my room, and I think I don't feel good. And I lifted up my shirt and there were scratch marks across my stomach and my back.
Mm. Yeah, that's so when would you say you started doing the investigation, like where you could say, yeah, I'm a paranormal investigator now?
I started doing some little stuff around my house, and then my stepdad Dan, he worked at this amusement park where I grew up.
Yep.
And it was closed during the winter, and I got some ghost hunting gear for that Christmas. We went to that amusement park because he said it was supposedly haunted, and we captured some absolutely crazy evidence.
Wow.
Yep, absolutely. I said I wasn't going to go too far down this path, but I'd at least like to mention. So you mentioned your stepfather. That's Dan Monroe, right?
Yes.
Of music, movies. I always get it wrong. It's movies, music, and monsters.
Oh yeah.
So here on YouTube at Movies, Music, Monsters. Okay, you can subscribe to him. Great channel talking about the behind the scenes on some great old TV shows, mostly sci-fi. What's happened to the props today? Great stuff. Big channel, and that brings us to how we came to be aware of Beyond the Hub was because we were watching one of his recent streams, and he's like, yeah, my son, started his own channel. It's Beyond the Hub Podcast. Maybe check it out. And I'm like, oh, yeah, sure. And then I saw what your channel is about, and I'm like, oh, dude, subscribe, hit the notification bell. And Netter's like, well, maybe they'll want to come on my channel and talk about it. I'm like, go for it. You could try. And like I said, you were like 300 subscribers or something at the time. Now you're well over 1,000, getting close to monetization, I'm guessing.
Oh, yeah, just couple
watch
hours away.
Yeah, you need the watch hours. Absolutely.
Yeah, I've heard from other YouTubers that's the hardest part. It's like getting subs is easy. It's the watch hours that are a killer.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, you guys are going to get it no problem because this is some great topics. We have Continuum Chronicles in the group. He happens to live very near to my family in Ohio. And he's mentioning the reformatory there in Mansfield, Ohio. You probably know of it from, it was the filming location for, what was that one with Morgan Freeman? Guys, help me out here.
Morgan Freeman?
Morgan Freeman.
Shawshank?
Shawshank, yes, Shawshank was filmed there. And they have they have basically 2 tours that they do there. One is all the filming Yeah, you're on a 30-second delay. Continuing Chronicles. That's why. Otherwise, I would have gotten it. They do 2 tours. One is what they call the Hollywood tour, which is all the filming locations for Shawshank, and I think there were some other things that were filmed there, and the Ghost tour, because it's supposedly very, very haunted. Never took either of those tours. I only saw it from the outside when they weren't doing tours on the day, but I was visiting family. But you are whereabouts? You're like somewhere in the New York area, right?
Yes.
Yeah, because one of your videos that there's actually a couple videos related to it. You did a tour of the Stanley Theater in Utica.
Oh yes.
Now, guys, go check out the channel. It's one of his earlier videos where you can see the footage, and a local news interviewed him as well. But I swear, as I'm sitting watching it, there were questions I wanted to ask. Is it so local to you that you knew legends about it beforehand? How did you come to find out about that particular location and come to investigate it?
I did hear some local legends about it, and a lot of people had tried to get in there, and I literally just messaged the owner on Facebook, and they were like, sure.
This
was before. And so now, like, if you want to go back now, it's like $1,000 a night to investigate. We kind of started the trend going back there.
Sure. Well, you kind of kicked off their business, I would imagine. I mean, that's kind of the thing. Netta's the same way. I mean, she reaches out to this up-and-coming podcaster and says, hey, you want to be on my channel? And I'm like, hey, go for it. That's you never know until you ask. Have you had a number? Now, I mean, you've had the podcast for a while. Now this channel's really starting to take off. You were on the news with this interview and whatnot. Are you starting to have people coming to you and saying, hey, can you look into this for me? We're having some problems with a ghost. Who am I going to call? Beyond the Hub.
It's hard because we're doing all the podcasts, all the rating for it and stuff, and it's hard to go back. But we are doing some other cool stuff I'll talk about later. I'm actually going somewhere tomorrow to do something really, really cool. But it's a lot of people have reached out and they asked, and they're from all over the country, and I can't go to all of them. But if there's any around New York, I'm more than willing to go down there if it's something serious.
So, and again, I'm gonna say this over and over again, folks. Go check out the channel. I don't want to take anything away from the channel. There's nothing like seeing it firsthand. But do you have any? Because you have the podcast as well as and that kind of goes back a ways. You have a history of that podcast. Do you have any experience since you've been doing the podcasts that was like, wow, this was the holy crap. This was the wow,
Oh my God, I don't even know, like, just all of them. Like we get in, like him and I, like we used to work together before this, so we would just go back and forth, Brandon and I, and just start talking back and forth. We get in these deep conversations. So every single episode, there's always something that we just think about on the spot. Like, wait a minute, like, what do you think that's connected to this? Or there's, and that's the thing, like, that's why we say at the end of it, like, everything, we feel like everything connects.
Yeah. One of the things you were saying in the backdrop too, we were talking a little bit about, like personal sensitivity, about, kind of. So I know that you come to it with a bit of awareness that goes beyond the electronic device and whatnot.
Yes.
How about, and he's here, so it's not like you're talking behind his back. How about Brandon? Is he right in there with you in the sensitivity, or is he more the Egon type with the electronics and keeping the data?
He's more of a silent. He doesn't really care for the investigation part of it.
See, yeah,
Troy.
I get that. I was saying that Netta was all excited because she's like, "Oh, we could talk about the spirits we have in my house." I'm like, I wish you wouldn't. I really wish you wouldn't. I don't want to think about it.
People have heard me talk about before that when we moved into our house was built in 1968, so it's not like it's uber old, but when this house was built, at that time, the whole area was pretty much just prairie land, and they were just starting to build houses, so we were one of the last ones on our block to be built.
Yeah.
And then at some point, there's like a high school right by us, and that was built a little bit later. But all of our area was just all prairie land. So you figure people were probably buried there at some point, and there's got to be, spirits walking around. But our family room is downstairs in the basement, which is where we're at now. So we do pretty much everything down here. And the way our couch was set up, I could see up the stairs to go to the main level of the house. And I would often see a woman standing on the stairs with the child in front of her, which I got the sensation it was a little girl. And it was either a large cat or a small dog also on the stairs with them, and they would just stand there, and it was just a few stairs up, and I would just look at them, they would look at me, and then every once in a while I would feel the woman like stroke my hair, or I'd get like a smell of fresh flowers, and it's like, okay, so she's nearby. Now, in the time we lived here, my cat had passed away, and that was about 7 years ago, and I would still feel him jump on the bed. I'll hear him meow. I will feel things kind of hit the bed when I'm in bed by myself, because Troy's like hasn't come to bed yet or whatever. So I know it's not him coming to bed and bumping it. I'm by myself, and something's like hit the bed. And you know how it is when somebody bumps into the bed, that kind of jarring sensation? I would feel that. So something is walking into the bed. Occasionally I would feel when my cat would jump on the bed, his spirit, I'll feel him like kneading on me. You know how cats will like knead on things, and then I will hear purring. There's those things. And then my mom passed away a few years ago, like 3 years ago on my birthday of all days.
I'm sorry to hear that.
And I figured it was a special goodbye to me. So it's like, my mom had dementia, like really bad. And the doctors had said that she was going to pass away in March of that year. But my birthday's in December. Mom held on until December. My birthday's December 11th. So she held on until my birthday before passing. And I just felt she was saying a special goodbye to me. And so I don't see it as a sad thing. I mean, it's sad that I lost my mom, but I don't feel that her passing on my birthday is a sad thing. And I will smell, now this is kind of freaky for those of you who, what's the words I'm trying to say here? It's just an interesting thing. My mom's favorite cologne was Chanel No. 5 Eau de Toilette. My mom hadn't worn that fragrance in years since she got dementia. So it's got to be like 15, 20 years. And she's never been to my home. So it's not like her scent could have ever lingered here. After she passed, I kept smelling her Chanel No. 5 Eau de Toilette.
Wow.
I would smell roses, her favorite flower. And it's like, so I...
Real quick, Nick, do you have something going on in the background there? We're hearing, like a buzzing or Roomba or something like that.
Or a fan?
Or a fan?
There should. I don't have any. It's all like...
Oh.
It's all should be like...
Yeah,
exactly centered on my voice.
I can hear it in the background, but it's gotten quieter, so it's I'm not too concerned about it. I just wanted to mention it because
it might be.
Yeah, that could be too. I did want to bring up Brandon said exactly the same thing I was kind of feeling. I am extremely sensitive to the supernatural and have had a healthy number of experiences and encounters. Yeah, sometimes I think I'm way too sensitive, and I feel like that kid in The Sixth Sense who like just ignores it and looks away and keeps his head down. It's like I don't want to acknowledge it, But
yeah, it's like, and I mean, I've had an experience in the house where Troy was in the bedroom, I was in the kitchen, and I was looking out our kitchen window, and I heard someone say, kind of in a guttural voice, "Excuse me." And I turned around thinking it was Troy, and I was moving at the same time I was turning around. I was kind of moving to the side so that because I figured he needed to get something by the sink, and there's no one there. And I'm looking around, going like, what? So I call out, it's like, Troy, and he goes, and he's calling from the bedroom, going, yeah, what do you need? I'm like, were you just in the kitchen? He goes, no. I'm like,
Oh my.
okay.
Yeah.
So
That's...
a spirit had just said, excuse me, maybe he just needed to get to the sink. I don't know. Every once in a while, I'll smell cigarette smoke, and I'll have to tell the spirit, which I think is my dad, because my dad used to smoke, and I'll tell him, you need to take that outside. You know there's no smoking in my house. And then the smell will dissipate, like almost immediately. So it's like, weird things like that. And it doesn't creep me out, but it creeps out Troy.
So I see my wingman from Fridays trying to help me out here. He's trying to help me pivot the conversation. I thank you very much, Aged Boomer. It's not just about ghosts and spirits. You do work with the cryptids too, right?
Oh yes.
See, I know that people that are really... I'm very interested in that, but I don't know a lot about cryptids, and I know that people have like maps of where the different sightings are at. What do you got in the New York area that would be like, that's the cryptids that everybody in the area knows?
I would say that base. I mean, we got Bigfoot supposedly out here.
Sure.
Is a big one. Anything else like that? There's stories of random stuff, but in New York, I mean, I know more towards New Jersey area. They have obviously the Jersey Devil.
Right. But exactly.
Not too much in New York. I mean, you get the ghost sightings outside. You get the Bigfoots. There's some alien encounters out here though.
In a specific area, or just kind of in general?
Kind of in general. There are some specific areas, but I don't want to give away because that's one of my things coming up.
Oh,
too.
no, absolutely. That makes perfect sense. But yeah.
So that means y'all need to make sure you're tuned in to Beyond the Hub podcast.
And that
so
kind
that
of
you can
leads
hear
into
about these things.
the third, in your tagline, it says, is it paranormal, cryptids, and conspiracies. I think it's very difficult not to talk about conspiracies when you start talking aliens, because there tends to be lore of, well, we keep seeing these ships taking off and landing in a certain area, and it happens to be not too far from where there's a government building, and so you start to wonder, and not saying anything is specifically true. Yeah. We're just raising questions. We're just, having a conversation. Brandon says, I've heard a lot of alien encounters and sightings, and have heard of a werewolf encounter in southern New York. Speaking of, because I think people forget New York, you just think of New York City, but keep in mind, New York's a fairly big state. There's a lot of forested areas there. So, yeah, I totally get having Bigfoot sightings and so forth. In fact, you could probably walk from that top shoulder of New York up into Canada and stay in the trees the whole time.
Absolutely.
So I think that's one of the things that a lot of people don't think about. A lot of people that live in the cities think everywhere is city, and that's why this whole country is so overpopulated and we're in trouble. And it's like, you have no idea. You drive 1 hour outside that city of yours, and there's nobody within spitting distance of you.
New York is beautiful. The landscape is absolutely beautiful. Just pretend New York City doesn't exist.
Geek Flag says, my wife and I stayed at a bed and breakfast in Lancaster, Pennsylvania. I was laying in bed. My wife was taking a shower. She comes into the room and says, why did you tap my shoulder?
Oh.
Yeah, I don't know exactly which one you're talking about, but I've heard about a haunted hotel in, I don't remember if it was Lancaster, but definitely in Pennsylvania.
There's supposed to be some haunted hotels in Chicago as well, but I don't know. It's like they could be. I mean, some of the buildings in Chicago are really old.
Well, I mean, and then of course down on the south side, there's the there are some crazy ones. I'm sure you must have heard about this before, Nick. Like sightings of, and I don't know how you have a ghost of a machine, but like ghost trains. Have you heard of this before?
Yes, I have. Yeah.
Because we have some legends here in Chicago. We used to have the Union Stockyards here, and you had the Union Station, and all the trains used to converge here, loaded up with cattle and taking away the meat and so forth. And I've got a buddy who's real into trains, and he's like, "Oh yeah, there's these ghost trains," and I'm like, I can't even wrap my head around that,
If I would try to rationalize that in the best way possible, I think that would be kind of like how an object could become haunted, like they say, like the Annabelle doll, for instance. That is an inanimate object. So I mean, if that is possible for that to become haunted or possessed, what ghost train may be possible.
Yeah, I mean, and let's face it, when you dig into the history, like here in Chicago and whatnot, trains that have derailed, killing a whole population of cattle that were on their way to be slaughtered anyway, let's be honest, but still, it's pretty tragic. People losing their lives and so forth. And then, you got to imagine there's some paranormal energy that's probably going to accumulate there. But, there was also around the what was it? It wasn't a World Fair. What was it? There was some sort of a fair they were having at the turn of the century here in Chicago, and there was some bloke who had a boarding house in the city and was using it to kill people. And he had these secret rooms where he could drop the body down a chute into the basement and stuff like that. And they say that place is haunted. I would say, that's probably a good bet. And of course, the site of the St. Valentine's Day Massacre, right? Yeah. I know exactly where that is. I never go there, and it's not even because of the supernatural element. I don't go into the city anymore. It's scary enough, but I
saw the wall that it's in the Mob Museum in Las Vegas. I've been there a couple times. I've seen that.
Yep. I've seen some of the. I had a cousin who he's passed years ago, but he was an attorney, and he knew a lot of cops, old time cops, who were able to show me some of the pictures that they don't have in the history books,
wow.
of and it was pretty grisly. I mean, it's what you expect of a basically a mass murder scene. I mean, it was I think it was like a dozen guys got gunned down there. It was just and I asked my grandfather about it because he remembered it too, and he says, I knew people that knew people. My name ends in a vowel, so we knew people, right? and he'd say, he's like, no, a lot of people were freaked out about it, but a lot of people weren't, because they were like, well, I don't know anybody in that line of business. If you're in that line of business, you're potentially in trouble. They're not coming after me and my family. And I'm like, I scratch my head and I just go, I guess it was a different time.
Literally.
But yeah. I the chat's going by like crazy. I can't keep up with it, but CK says, when I began, I was an atheist, and we noticed whenever it was ghosts or aliens or whatever, we had an exorcist on our team, and he'd pray and the event would end. So it made me into a believer. There you go. I think that, and tell me, Nick, again, this is not a personal question. You don't have to answer anything about your own religious convictions if you don't want to. But in a more general sense, do you feel that an idea of the paranormal, of ghosts and so forth, is that necessarily tied to religious belief? Or could an atheist be like, maybe there's something, I
think you could be an atheist and still believe in something else. I mean, who even knows if they are ghosts? I mean, they could be something from a different dimension. I mean, we don't really know what exactly we're talking to. All we know is that you're talking to something. And when you actually see something firsthand, it really does change the way you think about things. So in my personal opinion, it has made me more of a believer in a sense.
Yeah, I mean, I've heard a theory that everybody used to talk about fairies and changelings and abductions and stuff like that, and then over time you're still hearing the same stories, but now instead of it being fairies, it's aliens and alien abductions and things like that. And it's like, well, that almost infers to me that there is something to it. Whether it's fairies or it's aliens or demons or ghosts or something else entirely, maybe it's worth looking into. I don't want to be the one looking into it, but maybe it's worth, especially from the scientific point of view. It's like, the best you could do is gather data. And if you find evidence that it's something completely, if you debunk something, okay, well, this wasn't, wasn't supernatural. This was swamp gas. It was, reflection off of Venus or something. I don't know, whatever, but pulling the Men in Black thing here. Or, yes, it's still an open question. We got to get more data.
I think someone up there in the comments, I forget who said it, but they said, why, with all the cameras out there, do we not find any like cryptids wise of things? I think they are some sort of intelligent being. Maybe they are an alien or something. I mean, who knows? But there are shows like Expedition Bigfoot. It's a really good one. That's on Discovery. It's a sort of a newer show, and they go very scientific based into it. It's not just like Finding Bigfoot where they just go out and yell, make Bigfoot noises. They go way in depth. That's one of my favorite newer shows about Bigfoots.
Yeah, there's a number of channels that I would not describe as being cryptid type channels, just strict science, more trying to debunk, and a lot of them making very good cases for if there is some sort of a large primate in North America that's particularly reclusive, here's all the reasons why we would not have found or might not have found it. And they were talking about things like what's it called, the heat, like flying over a forest and seeing the heat signatures and stuff. Oh, yeah. He's like, you don't just see a guy walking around in the woods because of his heat signal like you do in the movies. It doesn't work that way because, and look, anybody who's done any camping knows, you get underneath those trees, and you got a smooth breeze. That's going to cover, those trees are going to cover over all that heat signature. And yeah, if you are, there could be intelligence, or it could just be as simple as the concept of being a wild animal. Wild animals are hard to see and hard to, because this is their domain, not yours. So yeah, go ahead and hook up that night vision camera and let it sit there, and you'll be lucky to see a raccoon. I mean, that's, and I don't think there's any question that raccoons exist, right? Or deer, or whatever. So something
I see a lot of those night cams where they set them up, and you'll see a bear walk by, then a deer, then a couple of raccoons, then more deer. It's like, and it's all they get.
And don't be mistaken. As someone who was in the Scouts, who spent a lot of time camping, you know that you probably don't want to encounter, a lot of the fauna. It could be very dangerous for you and them, and so everyone tends to give them. I was my stream was laughing at me a couple weeks back when I was sharing about my bear encounter, where I got up early in the morning, went down to the creek to relieve myself, not paying attention, and I was standing like 15 feet across the stream was a bear getting a drink, and it was a good-sized black bear, and I was like, and I just went, ah! And the bear, I didn't know what the bear, I was blind, I was panicking, and I ran back. The scout leader came out, the other scouts came out, and they were all laughing at me, and the scout leader took me and said, number one, that's not what you're supposed to do, right? Number two, And then he explained what I did not see. He said, you screamed and ran. The bear freaked out and started running the other way, too. I scared the bear. And that's why everyone thought it was funny. If that happens with a bear, you better believe it's going to happen with a primate, right? You know, Just saying. Thank you, Sin, for subscribing to Beyond the Hub podcast. Beyond the Hub podcast. That's hard to say.
Thank you.
Thank you for the subscription. Yeah, I've seen. I saw it tick up a little bit while we were on. So good. Thanks everybody. And Sashi, man from the future, welcome. Good to see you, my friend. We say he's the man from the future because he's on the other side of the international date line. Not like he's literally, John Teeter who's come back in time or anything like that. Yeah. At least as far as we know. We're trying to get, lottery numbers from him. We haven't gotten them yet.
What's funny is I have the Wi-Fi song going through my head right now.
You must know the Wi-Files, right? Okay, see, he's like, come on, yeah. What do you think I am? Rookie? Yeah, and they got a theme song, and I'll hear Netter singing it, and I'll sing it very badly off key.
What is the most haunted place you've ever been to?
As far as you know.
As far as you know.
I would say there's probably about two places. One was that amusement park.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you looked at that video. That's like literally the first video I've ever posted on my channel.
Yep.
And just if you can ignore my voice because I was going through puberty, then you'll find it to be a very exciting video. And a lot of people say because it's so crazy that everyone thinks it's just fake, but it's literally not. Like I wish you could have been there with me to experience this. We had walked into this amusement park, and it was like a Western themed town area. And the door to the marshal's office was open. We walked in, the door shut behind us. I was like, oh, cool. It's probably just the wind. So I go up to the door, and I was like, can you do that again? And then the door shuts. So I got this all on camera. I leave the camera rolling. We leave for 5 minutes, and because we're like, oh, if it's the wind, maybe it'll close by the time we get back. So we leave, we come back, the door's still open. I walk up to the door. I said, oh, you're still open. Shut it. Door shuts.
Cool.
And it does this several more times too.
I wanna be able to pull in the questions from the chat as much as possible. Matt Cheatwood is asking about the Mandela effect. Have you had any experience with that at all? This phenomenon of possibly changed history. Or it could just be as simple as people misremembering things.
I think it definitely is possible. I don't know if you've seen that video on TikTok or anything about that time traveler. The guy who comes out of the shed.
Okay, so it's not the one I was thinking. It's not that John Teeter guy. It's a different
this is
one.
brand
No.
new.
I'll look into it. No, I haven't.
But I would say it may be real. I mean, what if the Mandela effect is us existing in a different dimension and we're just living out an alternate timeline? Remember things from that. I'm not sure. I'm just spitballing.
No, one other quick little story. And look, memory's a weird thing, right? Especially when you're talking about childhood memories. Psychology major, I totally understand the concept of confabulation and so on and so forth. But I do have memories as a kid of being able to go places that I wasn't able to go through, like stepping through a window, literally, and being outside the house when I shouldn't have been able to be, things looking different than they ought to have. And of course, you're going to say, well, you might have had a dream, or you might have just misremembered, or whatever. I'm just saying, I think kids are a little bit more sensitive to things than adults, because I know, I said it a number of times tonight, how you can be sensitive to things and purposely ignore it. I choose not to see it. And I think all adults do that to some degree, and kids are way more open to stuff.
Absolutely. That was another topic of discussion where we were like, why is it only from a certain age, and why is it blocked after a certain time? Because kids just sometimes they'll see things without even thinking about it, but then you get to a certain age and there's kind of sort of a mental block.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And I'm gonna butcher this, so please forgive me. Marbles 44. Hopefully that's close.
That's my fiance, Marbles.
Okay, Marbles.
She's
Yeah. The investigation from the parsonage house was absolutely unreal, in my opinion. It was an awesome video. Do you kind of shelter her from that? Does she like get to experience it firsthand, or is she just seeing the videos like we are?
What's crazy about that house was that was where she grew up, in this house. So we got the chance to go back to it. It was called the Parsonage House because there's a church that's right behind it, and they owned this parsonage, and they would rent it out to people. Obviously, it used to be for a member of the clergy, but they would rent it out to people. And they had some very, very crazy experiences there, and I always wanted to go there. And then her cousin moved in there, and then we were able to go in there, and something followed us home from there that was not good.
Ooh.
Where we had stuff happening at our house. We had to sage a place. We had to.
I was just gonna say, break out the sage.
We literally, it was bad. But
look, all of you that might be, saying woo woo or whatever, okay, fine. But if nothing else, burning sage smells really nice. You should do it from time to time. You really just should. Nate has a great question. He says, have you ever seen a physical apparition? Because I saw a fully formed woman when I was 9, and she looked just like Sherilyn Fenn. Lucky 9-year-old. Too bad you weren't a teenager, but okay.
I have seen full body apparition. This was when I was in my second house.
Mm-hmm.
When it was after my parents got divorced, I was living in a different house. I saw this little girl walk from my fan and disappeared into my TV. And it was during a time where I had sleep paralysis at the same time. But a lot of people say sleep paralysis, you're actually sleeping. I was well aware of every single thing that was happening on that room. I was aware of the time. I was aware of location, every single thing. And I wasn't able to move until 20 minutes later after I saw this girl.
And welcome Maria with Tea and Telly. Maria, I was
I said, yes, Maria.
Yes, exactly. I was telling you about Maria before. This is very much right up her alley. She is a Zen priestess, so she knows a thing or two, and she kind of understands me when I say I don't want to think about it. I don't want to think about it. But
thank you for subscribing.
Yeah, absolutely. You guys are awesome. So, do you have? I know you touched on this. I don't want you to go. I don't want you to ruin anything. No spoilers or anything. But what do you have coming up in the next weeks and months?
Tomorrow morning, I'm actually interviewing someone who I believe is one of the most credible witnesses I've ever seen, who has said to have seen an alien and a spacecraft. And this isn't just one person. He was with someone as well. And they had experienced this together. And actually a famous author went to this location too to investigate it. But this was back in the 90s, early 2000s, where they didn't really have the technology we do now. So I want to go back to this location and see if we can get some more scientific evidence.
Oh,
there you go. There you go. And I know you guys kind of do this on your own, but are you in any way in touch with a bigger community that you kind of share data with?
Not really, not right now.
Okay. That's fair. Just wondering.
I want to say hi to Donnie Wiggs.
Hey, Donnie Wiggs. Welcome. Really Haunted. Okay. On YouTube. I'll check that out. Thanks for the recommendation. Yeah, this is just what I need. I'll never sleep again. Now, I say that, and yet, I listen to a lot of the channels that do the, what's it called? The creepypastas and stuff like that. Stuff it's fiction, but, it's fun to get a little freaked out and whatnot. I'll tell you what, that kind of bothers me too, because a lot of these creepypastas, that's just like horror fan fiction, but it's becoming the modern urban legends, you know, and luckily because of the internet and stuff, it's easy enough to go, oh yeah, that's Slender Man, that's all, you know, from this creepypasta, blah 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 blah. But then I start to think, you know, kind of like what you were talking about before with, you know, how do you know that things don't just take certain forms because now that's what's in the zeitgeist? You know, that whole, I people laugh at me because I was a kid when I went to see the movie Poltergeist. And back then, that was before there was a PG-13 rating. It was PG. And I probably should not have been seeing that movie. It scared the piss out of me, kind of literally. And, but one of the taglines was, it knows what scares you. And that gets a little bit creepier when you're studying like demonology and stuff and you realize, well, the belief is that demons know what scare you and they use it against you intentionally. And if that's the case, you know, who knows? The whole gambit of these paranormal, I'm going to call them paranormal entities just for simplicity's sake, could very, very well be going, okay, we got a live one here, Slender Man. Okay, let's go with that one, you know. Just
that's a good one.
I have a lot of possession stories down here, mostly due to World War II. Sure, Japanese occupation. I was chosen to ride home with a classmate who started speaking Japanese, and I was supposed to make sure he got home. Yeah, look, and I'm going to say this too. You know, we talk about psychic energy and stuff. It's like, you know, there is the paranormal element to that. And then there's just the very simple, easy to understand real world trauma that can affect a person, their family, their community, you know, whether it's because of war, famine, whatever, you know, these things are. And those things definitely have a manifestation, you know, it becomes a shared experience and not necessarily a good one. So, and now Donnie's saying Zeitgeist, great movie. Well, I didn't know that it was a movie. I was using it in terms of of the term. Jehovah's Witnesses didn't want to watch it with me. I said I would listen to them, and they watched. You'd listen to them, okay? Like share the scripture. If they watch Zeitgeist with you, they said nope. I see. That's where I was. Oh, you don't care enough about my immortal soul to sit and watch a scary movie with me? Really? Showing me your Christian love. Come on, man. No, I jest because I might very likely have been the same way. It's a story for a different night, but I could share my story about how I scared off a bunch of Jehovah's Witnesses just by pulling out my own Bible.
Oh my gosh.
Okay, I'll make it quick. The guys from Watchtower came, knocked on the door. You know, Nanette answered the door, and they're like, you know, they started their spiel, and she's like, honey? And I'm like, yeah, some people from Watchtower. I'm like, oh, yeah. I went and I talked to him, and he's like, yeah, we wanted to know if we could, study the Bible together. I'm like, yeah, come on in. Yeah, asked Netter, can you get us some lemonade? Took him into the front room, pulled out my Bible. I said, okay, did you want me to share some scriptures with you, or did you have some scriptures you wanted to share with me? And they were like, and the look on their face was like they'd never had a question like that before. It's like, they're like, well, no, we had a study we had to do with you. I said, okay, great. And they were a little concerned what version of the Bible I was using. I said, New Revised Standard.
It's like, which one do you want? I've got.
Yeah, I wasn't. I said I got King James, I got NSRV, I got NIV. They're like, no, that's fine, whatever you're using. And so they go through their study, and I don't know if you've ever studied the Bible with Jehovah's Witnesses when they're doing their, initial reaching out, but it's they do a lot of looking at the book of Daniel, the book of Revelation, just talking about the end times when, the days of weeks and maths and, when the end of the world is coming. And they're like, so what do you think about that? And I said, I got to tell you. I said, I'm not the sharpest guy when it comes to, maths and dates and stuff like that. But let me share a scripture with you. I said, let's go to Acts 1. And it says, and the disciples said to Christ, Lord, are you now going to bring about your, your kingdom as was, foretold to our ancestors? And he said, it is not for you to know the times and the dates set by the Father's own authority, but you will know the truth when the Spirit comes in power. I said, I look at that and I go, you know what? Even the disciples back talking to Jesus didn't know when the end was coming. But the fact is, I could die tomorrow. So I got to have my spiritual thing on straight. And that's when I shared my conversion story. I said, I'm baptized, I'm good, but I'm always willing to share the scripture. And they seemed really uncomfortable. So they were like, well, if you're part of a congregation, we don't want to, they wanted to get out of there. But I tell that story because a lot of people that have had to, take some time for the Jehovah's Witnesses, it's like, look, if you know your stuff, nobody can. You got to stand for something. You fall for anything, right?
Exactly.
But I'm open to listening. I'm always open to listening. Grew up in a house in Southeast D.C. that was built on top of an artificial slave burial site, and they didn't move the bodies, just like the real life poltergeist. People don't realize that before the cities formed, before settlements and whatnot, people were just buried, and there's definitely people underground. Just about anywhere you go, there's somebody buried there, because we're talking thousands of years, of humans. So you never know. You never do know. But I also kind of, and I don't know if there's any truth to this, but I like to believe whatever is going on with the spiritual world, it's been happening for thousands of years. It's going to be happening for thousands more. Perfectly natural, even though we call it supernatural. And we just need to deal with it. There are more things in heaven and on earth than are dreamt of in your philosophy, Horatio. But anyway, yeah.
Yes, I've been fortunate that the spirits that I've come across in our home have been a very, I guess the word would be benevolent towards us. Okay. They've never tried to harm us or anything like that. Although some of them can be a little mischievous. They will take certain objects, like different things, and they'll hide them, and I have to ask for them back. And I'll usually find them. Sometimes I'll find them like the same day, like within like an hour or so. Other times it'll take a week or two. There was one. Troy had an action figure sitting on the sofa, mint in package. He was actually planning on opening it, so he had it sitting on the sofa so that he can open it, and he was going to put it with the display. It disappeared. And he's like, "Did you move this?" I'm like, "No, I haven't touched it."
And for months, I looked everywhere for it. There was only so many places it could be.
Yeah, I even went and looked in places where it shouldn't
have been.
And
we found it. I have a display right behind. I don't have my camera on right now, but I have a.
But if you tune in tomorrow night, you should be able to see.
Yeah.
I'm last call Troy Pacelli. You should see that.
I have all these figures hanging on the wall behind me in a display, and it was right behind. This was a Boris Karloff Frankenstein figure. It was right up here behind the Wolfman, where it shouldn't have been, and it was. And I'm like, and it wasn't there before, because I went through every one of those action figures too. I looked, it was not there. And I'm like, unless somebody actually put it here, it couldn't have been. And yeah, that's the kind of stuff that kind of freaks me out a little bit. I don't like thinking about it too much.
Exactly. That's kind of like what happened here. Like I kind of like stopped after we had this one investigation, kind of stopped it for a little bit. And then when we started bringing up this podcast, things started opening back up here, in a sense. So where now I had multiple people over, and they would say that, like, when I'm standing in a certain spot, and like two separate people were like, I could have swore I just saw a shadow standing behind you.
Yeah.
Two separate people.
And that's the kind of thing that, right. And I know you have that you do live streams. Is that a regular thing?
Yeah, that's every Monday. We pick like 3 of the best, or like what we think are like the coolest paranormal, submissions that people post in our Facebook group.
Gotcha.
And we'll go through there, and that's a chance for anyone else who wants to chime in and tell their story.
And what time is that stream go live?
That is 7 p.m. Eastern every Monday.
So that's and it looks like it's usually less than an hour. So guys, you have plenty of time to tune in to the weekly paranormal picks on Beyond the Hub, and then when you're done there, come on over to Monday Night at the Movies on Last Call. Yep. So there you go.
Now, here's one for you.
Okay.
I don't know if this is something you actually have planned or not, but is there one place that you really want to go to and check out that you haven't yet?
Yeah, good question.
Yes, there's this place that won't let me go in there. It's called Old Main. It's one of the oldest psychiatric centers in the United States, and it's in New York.
Mm-hmm.
It used to be owned by Utica, but they had sold it to the state, or the state acquired it. So if it was still owned by the city, I would have been able to get in there. But I've tried to call up to everyone, almost basically to the governor, to try to get into this place, and they will not allow it. It kind of, because you hear stories about what went on there, and some people who had worked on it recently still talk about how in the sub-basement there's still shackles and chains on the walls.
Wow.
And if you actually look up this thing called a Utica crib, it's where they put these, the mentally ill back then, in this little thing that had like spikes, and they would close it, and if you moved it all in there, you would get shanked.
Nice.
Wow. Yeah.
They just don't want to expose that. They do like a little walking tour like once a year around Halloween, but they don't let you go anywhere. It's only like in the lobby, basically.
That's rough. Yeah, I could see why that would be of interest. Matt Cheatwood shares that he, I'm guessing, poking at someone from Watchtower or something like that. I asked an elder who Cain married. I like to point out to people that try to do the debunking of the Adam and Eve and Cain, Abel, and Seth. Just because Adam and Eve were the first man and woman created by God doesn't mean they were the only ones. Just a thought as you chew on things like that. But anyway, I will absolutely be checking out those live streams of yours. I have not yet watched everything on your channel.
You're good.
Because it is a growing library, so I have some catching up to do. But what I've seen so far has been really, really good. I did say I was going to keep it light tonight and just touch on a little bit of everything, because I just wanted to give my audience the opportunity to. I've enjoyed what you've been doing, and I've been fired up about it. So I figured if I am, then they probably would be too. So I wanted to make sure we got everyone subscribed and hit the notification bell too. Don't forget that. Everybody subscribes, and then they forget to hit that notification bell. And it's like, I subscribed, and then I never see anything that they put out. Well, you didn't get any notifications because you didn't hit the notification bell.
And I did see that our lovely chat, quite a few of you have said that you have subbed to Beyond the Hub. If you haven't already, you kind of hear what his channel's about. I think it's super interesting. I mean, this is stuff, I love this stuff. Go and give us up. Hit that notification bell.
Yep.
Thank you so much.
Check out some of the past streams.
If anyone has any topic ideas too, we're always asking people like, what do you want to hear about? Tell us your story, because we talk about we have like a main topic we talk about, and then just a subtopic of that every week.
Yeah, like I said, the chat was going so fast tonight. A lot of people sharing a lot of great stories. Make sure you take those stories and share them. You could DM them over, or how do you want to receive stuff like that? Like through the Facebook group, or
you can just comment on YouTube. We
or comment on a YouTube channel, or and anything like that. That's and who knows? Maybe he'll read one of your comments on the stream one night or something.
Yeah, it's like I see Big Alice sub, Kerr Selby sub, Deleted Scenes a sub,
Good.
Maria had sub, I know there are a couple other ones further up in the chat where they said they sub, so thank you, my lovelies.
Been talking about your channel for weeks now, and I feel like they just waited till tonight to like do it in force or something like that. But that's fine. That's fine.
Yeah, because I mean, I always put out the call when I have my guest on for my lovely people in my chat to make sure they're sub, and it's just so encouraging to see the numbers go up in the subscriptions when I have a guest on, because like I said, I got lovely people in my chat. These are my family. I always end my stream with that. These people are my family, and I can't emphasize that enough. You have friends, you have family, but then you have family, and these guys are my family.
Yeah,
awesome.
absolutely. So before we wrap up, anything that I didn't cover that you had wanted to, or any last thoughts or things you want
I
to
would just say stay tuned to that other thing. It's going to be a while. I'm debating on whether to make it into like a little documentary, because I'm going to be interviewing him tomorrow, and then we're going to be going to the scene and doing all these testings. And I actually commissioned a famous rendition artist. His name is, let's shout him out, Bill Rebsman.
Mm-hmm.
Bill Rebsman. He has been on the History Channel, A&E, like all these, like the Discovery Channel, with all of his, like, if you've seen like an artist rendition, it's probably him. So he's gonna be making one, like a sketch based on the interview, or like what they described.
Cool.
Geek Flag with Nate says, I can be a guest because, to quote Winston from Ghostbusters, I've seen shit that'll turn you white.
yeah. Exactly right. No, I'm sure a lot of people have great stories. And real quick, Maria, tell Elan that we're thinking about her. How's mom doing? Just tell her to take care. Great. I don't want to go through the whole rundown, Netter. I just want to hit tomorrow night, last call, 9 Central, 10 Eastern. We'll be talking the movies of 1999, because for whatever reason, I guess it's the 25th anniversary, they're re-releasing a lot of films from that year at the theaters, and they're doing very, very well. So we're going to do a bit of a retrospective, and like I said, my cocktail of the night is going to be something from the 90s, something that just fit the bill that was very popular in the late 90s. Saturday, what is your movie?
Yeah, Saturday, right back here on Netter's Network, Retro Cinema, we'll be watching The Departed, which you would think it would have something to do with dead people.
Well, it kind of does, but not directly. I haven't seen it. Neither has Big Al. Neither has Netter. So
none of us have seen this one. It's one of those ones that we got from somewhere. It's been sitting on our bookshelf. But
we're going to try to pull in Deleted Scenes, who has seen it, and he's going to be our subject matter expert for the night. And I see that Matt Cheatwood is talking about Florida Man. I'm sure we've had plenty of Florida Man sightings, especially because we have one in the chat tonight. Age of Boomer is a Florida Man. So, so there we go. And
then, let's see. So then,
and after we get done here, get over to Deleted Scenes channel, and he'll walk you through the rest of the weekend, what he's got going on.
Right, and then on Sunday we also have Geeky Geezers at, it's 8 p.m. Central, 9 p.m. Eastern.
Yep.
And
can you highlight Vagrancy Horror just came in? Bring up his.
There it is.
Welcome, Vagrancy Horror. If you can, Nick, the Vagrancy Horror is another great channel that you might enjoy subscribing to. He's the one that I was saying I tagged him because you guys chew a little bit of the same ground. He's not as regular hardcore with the investigating, but he's done a good deal, and he's done a lot of research, and his channel is really on point. You might enjoy it.
Gotcha.
Let's see. Tuesday we have Sparkwind 21, another Twin Peaks episode over on Deleted Scenes channel. I forgot Monday.
Monday night, it's not going to be a double feature Monday night at the movies because I have a dentist appointment. So 9 o'clock on 9 Central, 10 Eastern, by request, and I see this as being thematically relevant to my channel, we will be watching Troy with what's his name? Who's that actor? Brad Pitt. Yeah, Troy with Brad Pitt. I wish I looked half as good as Brad Pitt, but
I'm glad you don't smell like him.
yeah, that's what I've heard. I've heard.
Yeah,
And
he hasn't bathed.
and that brings us around to next week. Who's your guest next week?
So next Thursday, right back here on Netters Network, Thursday Things, my special guest will be Obnoxious and Anonymous.
Yes,
name for
speaking of Twin Peaks, he is definitely a resident expert. He is another super fan. So those of you that have been following us on Deleted Scenes channel for the Twin Peaks rewatches on Tuesday, definitely going to want to tune in next Thursday for Obnoxious and Anonymous.
And we're also going to be talking about his movie and fundraiser.
In fact, Brandon's even said Twin Peaks is awesome. The writers definitely know something. We are in the last couple weeks of season 2 with our rewatches. We're doing rewatches and deep dives on Twin Peaks, introducing people who've never seen it before, kind of walking people through who have seen it. We're like, that was weird, trying to help out with a little bit of the weirdness. But we're going to start getting into the books and the extraneous stuff. They did a lot of touching on Crawley and and all that kind of stuff in the extended history. I believe in demons because I work in retail. I see them all the time. And we've got some people here who believe in demons because they've been married before. So, I mean,
Troy and I actually used to work retail for, he worked it for about a year or so. I ended up staying on with the company, working part-time there for like 2 or 3 years before I finally left. And yeah, you get some demons in retail. You just want to smack the crud out of them.
Deleted Scenes, I know you've dropped the link, but can you do it again? Drop your link for this Tuesday's Live from Sparkwood and 21 for Brandon so that he can go and hit the notification bell on that one so that he could tune in on Tuesday.
So, Donnie, does that mean that you sub to me too? Because that would be so sweet.
I'm sure everyone is subscribing to Netter because, I mean, look at that icon, those smoldering eyes.
My smoldering
exactly.
avatar.
But that's what we got coming up this week, guys. Make sure on your way out, if you got here late, and I'm looking at you, Vagrant Sea Horror and
Samuel Proctor,
just giving you grief, guys. You can always catch rewind and catch the VOD, but please subscribe to Beyond the Podcast, Beyond the Hub Podcast.
You're good.
I keep doing that. The link's at the top. You don't have to say it. You just got to click on it and hit the notification bell when you get there. And there we go. So that's all I got, Netter. I've talked too much already.
I'm not saying a word. Well, what I always say.
Yes.
Please make sure that you are subbed to every member of the panel as well as every member of the chat because together we grow. And if you think you're subbed, go back and double check that you're still subbed because YouTube, they like to take away subs.
Yeah.
It's like my count will go up and down. It's crazy. It'll go, like up 4, then down 5, then back up 2, and then it's been weird. So if you think you're sub, just go back and double check you're still sub because it's not just me; it's all YouTubers out there. There are ones that I know I was sub to, and I'll go back and go, why aren't I sub to them? And I'll have to resub. So
this is where I have to interject, guys. I said it before. Hit the subscription, hit the notification bell, but you know what you also got to do? You got to go back and watch the vids. I mean, YouTube pays attention to that too. It's not enough to just subscribe and forget about the channel. Go check out the content. Go back every now and again.
Yeah,
YouTube will keep it in your feed if you're supporting the channel.
In fact, open up a new tab and just hit play all. And this also gives the YouTuber
we got to get
hours.
Beyond the Hub their watch hours so that they can get monetized, okay? We got to be able to finance these excursions of theirs and make it financially feasible for them to do their studies. These guys could find Bigfoot if we got them the financial backing.
And then they could show it to Big Al, who is really a Bigfoot enthusiast.
Exactly. Yeah. Now, I'm not promising. I'm saying they could, but doesn't happen if we don't support.
And frankly, I would love to join you guys on one of these excursions because
we'll have to take a drive
I don't
out
get
to New
creeped
York.
out with any of this stuff. I love this.
Awesome.
Maybe you guys can come out to when we actually go to this alien place.
Wow.
Ooh.
I'll look forward to hearing more information about it. That sounds really, really interesting.
Okay.
Samuel Proctor says, Troy, have you seen the channel Bob
Gilman? Is that like
or is that Gimlin?
like the creature from the Black Lagoon type Gilman? I'll check that out. Yeah, I didn't know about it, but I will check it out.
Okay, Curtis Selby has worked in retail for 17 years. Sasha has worked in retail for 28 years. And Geek Flag has been in it for more than 30 years. Oh my goodness, you guys have seen stuff.
You guys have seen some stuff, yeah. You probably have post-traumatic stress disorder at this point.
Right? I did after just 3 years of working in it. But now it's time to say goodbye. So, we can talk amongst ourselves, and that's all well good and fun. But it is so much more fun when you guys are joining us in the chat. And you're dropping your comments, questions, trivia, being goofy, whatever it may be. And it doesn't feel like we're separated by miles or continents in some cases. Hi, Sashi.
Yeah.
It feels like we're all hanging out in the same room, enjoying each other's company and having a great time. And you guys, you know you're not just our friends. You are our family. We love you guys and we appreciate you so very much. You can be anywhere right now, and you're here. That is so encouraging. So thank you very much for coming out here tonight, encouraging my guests, subbing to my guests, and if you haven't subbed to my guests yet, please make sure you hit on the link at the top of the chat and not only subscribe, but make sure you hit that notifications bell and show the love to our guests.
Thank you so much.
Oh, you're so welcome. And until next time, good night and God bless.